Hello and welcome to the virtual school. I'm your learning and teaching buddy with the vision of let's grow together. Via this YouTube channel I'll try my best to provide some important events happening around the globe like political science and international relations, science and technology, environment, economy, history, geography and climate change. The purpose of this channel is just know the world around us. Thank you.
April 2021. Front page. India records 2.16 lakh new cases, 1,153 deaths. Maharashtra leads with 61,695 cases, followed by UP. Special correspondent Chennai. India registered 2,16,642 new COVID-19 cases and 1,153 deaths as of 11:15 p.m. on Thursday. The country has so far reported a total of 1,42,87,740 cases and 1,74,306 deaths. The figures do not include cases and deaths from Ladakh and Tripura. The data are sourced from COVID-19 India. Organization, an independent aggregator of daily figures. Over 13.84 lakh tests were conducted on Wednesday. Maharashtra reported 61,695 infections, accounting for nearly 31% of the new cases, followed by Uttar Pradesh, 22,339, and Delhi, 16,699. Maharashtra also recorded 349 casualties, followed by Delhi, 112, and Chhattisgarh, 105. Nearly 33.13 lakh vaccine doses were administered in the 24 hours ending 7 a.m. on Thursday. It is about 6.6 lakh doses more than what was recorded in the previous 24 hours, but 8.2 lakh lower than what was recorded the previous Thursday. India continues to lead the world in terms of average daily cases. It now accounts for 1 in 4 cases reported globally every day. Gyms, malls and spas shut in Delhi. Passes for providers of essential services during weekend, says Kejriwal. Family members wait during the cremation of a COVID-19 victim in New Delhi. PTI. Special Correspondent New Delhi. Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal on Thursday announced a weekend curfew in Delhi to break the chain of transmission of COVID-19. He said e-passes will be issued to providers of essential services and those who need to attend weddings over the weekend as the wedding season is on. The curfew will begin at 10 p.m. on Friday and end at 5 a.m. on Monday. Mr. Kejriwal said, during the week, people have to step out to earn their livelihood and other essential activities. But over the weekend, they go out for entertainment and other activities that can be curtailed. People should not think of it as an inconvenience. We need to break the corona chain. He said malls, gyms, spas and auditoriums will be shut immediately, and cinema halls can run with 30% occupancy. Only one weekly market per day, per zone will be allowed to open. At restaurants, there will be no in-dining facility and only home delivery will be permitted. Imposing these restrictions right now is very important and I hope everyone will cooperate. We will also be enhancing an enforcement drive to ensure people maintain social distancing and wear masks, Mr. Kejriwal said. He said there is no shortage of beds as more than 5,000 are vacant. Please do not insist on a hospital of your choice. There may be a few hospitals that don't have any beds available, but that does not mean that there are no beds left in the entire city. Annuity clause goes for NPS subscribers. Special Correspondent, New Delhi. The National Pension System, NPS, will no longer compel investors to convert 40% of their accumulated retirement corpus into an annuity, as poor yields and high inflation are translating into negative returns, the Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority Chairman, Supratim Bandyopadhyay, said on Thursday. The regulator will soon allow those saving up to 5 rupees lakh to take the whole amount at retirement, up from 2 rupees lakh at present. ISRO case, SC asks CBI to look into panel report. Police officers framed, space scientist Nambi Narayanan. Krishnadas Rajagopal, New Delhi. The Supreme Court on Thursday ordered the Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, to look into the Justice D.K. Jain Committee report on senior Kerala police officials who allegedly framed space scientist Nambi Narayanan in the Indian Space Research Organisation, ISRO, espionage case of 1994. A bench, led by Justice A.M. Khanwilkar, said the report concerned a serious matter, warranting a CBI probe. This requires a thorough investigation, Justice Khanwilkar said. Registrar Judicial shall forward a copy of the report to the Acting Director, CBI, who may proceed in accordance with the law. Open to the CBI to treat the report as a preliminary inquiry report and proceed accordingly, the order said. 8 Pakistani men held with drugs in sea. Special Correspondent, Ahmedabad. In a mid-sea operation on Thursday, the Coast Guard and the Anti-Terrorist Squad, ATS, of Gujarat apprehended 8 Pakistani nationals on board a fishing boat with heroin valued at about 150 rupees crore off the Gujarat coast. Action on a tip-off. A joint team captured the boat near the International Maritime Boundary Line, IMBL, in the Arabian Sea. The accused were taken for interrogation to the coastal police station at Jatwa in Kutch district. Center to push judges' appointments. Supreme Court Collegium recommendations have been pending for 6 months. K.K. Venugopal. Legal Correspondent, New Delhi. The Union government on Thursday offered to decide in 3 months the Supreme Court Collegium recommendations for appointment of judges in the High Courts pending with it for over half a year. Appearing before a special bench of Chief Justice of India Sharad A. Bobde and Justices S.K. Kaul and Surya Kant, Attorney General K.K. Venugopal made a statement that the High Courts continued to have 220 vacancies because their collegiums had not forwarded any names. Mr. Venugopal said those collegiums should be put on a clock to forward their recommendations. Share timeline. Chief Justice Bobde shot back saying it would be helpful if the government shared its own timeline at each stage of the appointment process. 2 timelines. There are 2 timelines. One for the government and another for the HCs. The Chief Justice says he will deal with the High Court timelines. As regards the timeline for the government, you tell us on the next date. We are only asking you to tell us the timeline within which the government and the judiciary will cooperate, Justice Kaul intervened. Mr. Venugopal said the memorandum of procedure guided the government and the judiciary through the appointment process. The procedure did not insist on a deadline but only loosely says the process should be completed within a reasonable time. On March 23, the bench had asked the government to come clear on the status of 55 recommendations made by the Collegium for judicial appointments to various high courts 6 months to nearly a year and a half ago. 44 of the pending recommendations were made to fill up vacancies in Calcutta, Madhya Pradesh, Guwahati, Rajasthan and Punjab High Courts. Every one of these recommendations had been pending with the government for over 7 months to a year. Recommendations of names made by the Collegium to the Delhi High Court had been pending for 7 months. This is a matter of grave concern. When do you propose to take a decision? The bench had addressed Mr. Venugopal. In the previous hearing, the court had asked Mr. Venugopal to inquire with the Union Ministry of Law and Justice and make a statement on April 8 about their status. Khalid granted bail in riots case. He will continue to be in jail in connection with a UAPA case. Umar Khalid. File photo SUDHAKRA Jain. Sobham Rocky Singh, New Delhi. A Delhi court on Thursday granted bail to former JNU student Umar Khalid in connection with an affair alleging criminal conspiracy in a Northeast Delhi riots case. The court questioned the rationale behind the police making a case of conspiracy against Mr. Khalid based on the statement of a public witness who allegedly saw him and former AAP councillor Tahir Hussain walk into a building at Shaheen Bagh on January 8 last year. If principal accused Tahir Hussain was moved or actuated by the applicant, Khalid, in meeting dated 8 January 2020, then the applicant should have been made co-accused in 10 other cases, in which Hussain is an accused, also which is not the case, Additional Sessions Judge Vinod Yadav said. Mr. Khalid was initially arrested on 13 September 2020 in another Northeast Delhi riots case being probed by the Special Cell, where charges under the Stringent Unlawful Activities Prevention Act have been invoked. He was formally arrested in the present affair on 1 October 2020, after 7 months of registration of the affair. Mr. Khalid will continue to remain in jail as he is yet to get bail in the UAPA case. The present affair was registered on the statement of a constable who was on duty on Main Karwal Nagar Road on 24 February 2020 when a mob went on the rampage. Political vendetta. Mr. Khalid in his bail plea argued that he had been falsely implicated in the matter by the investigating agency on account of political vendetta to muzzle dissent. He argued that he was not present at the scene of crime. The court pointed out that the statement of the primary witness merely talked of some meeting between Mr. Khalid, co-accused Hussain and Khalid Safi. Judge Yadav further highlighted that the same person is also a witness in the UAPA case. When the statement of this witness was recorded on May 21 last year in the UAPA case, he did not utter a single word against Mr. Khalid. Now all of a sudden he blew the trumpet of criminal conspiracy against the applicant, the judge noted. This prima facie does not appeal to the senses. HC allows prayers at Nizamuddin Center. Only 50 people can offer prayers 5 times a day during Ramzan, says court. A view of the Nizamuddin Center in Delhi. File photo. Staff reporter, New Delhi. The Delhi High Court on Thursday permitted 50 people to offer prayers 5 times a day at the Nizamuddin Center during Ramzan, noting there was no direction in the Delhi Disaster Management Authority (DDMA) notification to close down places of worship. Justice Mukta Gupta directed that prayers be offered on the first floor above the basement of the mosque, and, strictly in accordance with the DDMA's April 10 notification and other standard operating protocols. The High Court remarked that there was no clear stand of the central government as to whether religious congregations or gatherings were permitted in other places of worship. Considering the fact that religious places of worship are not closed by the DDMA notification, this court finds that the petitioner, Delhi Waqf Board, has made out a prima facie case for permitting devotees to offer namaz at Masjid Bangali Wali, the court said. It directed the station house officer of the Nizamuddin police station to permit entry of 50 people 5 times a day to offer namaz only on the first floor of the Masjid Bangali Wali. Considering the fact that devotees require to perform namaz 5 times a day during the holy month of Ramzan, and at the same time care has to be taken that COVID-19, which is increasing exponentially in Delhi, does not spread and does not affect the health of the public at large and those who will visit the mosque to offer namaz, the High Court said. Justice Gupta declined to increase the number of people or allow use of other floors of the mosque for offering prayers, saying, "Day by day, situation is getting worse in Delhi. Subject to review." The court, however, clarified that its order would be subject to any notification issued by the DDMA in view of the increasing number of COVID cases in the capital. The court's direction came while hearing the plea of the Delhi Waqf Board to reopen the Nizamuddin Center where the Tablighi Jamaat congregations are held. It has been locked since March 31 last year. The board has contended that even after Unlock 1 guidelines permitted religious places outside containment zones to be opened, the center continues to be locked up. Bengal gears up for Phase 5 of election. Special Correspondent Kolkata. In the fifth phase of the West Bengal Assembly election on 17 April 1945, assembly seats spread across 6 districts of the state will go to the polls. Of the 45 constituencies, 13 are in North Bengal and 32 in South Bengal. This is the highest number of seats going to the polls in any of the 8 phases of the assembly election. In North Bengal, 13 seats are spread across 3 districts, 5 in Darjeeling, 7 in Jalpaiguri and 1 in Kalimpong. In South Bengal, 16 seats are spread across North 24 Parganas, and there are 8 each in Nadia and Bardhaman districts. National Task Force to Combat Air Pollution, Monitor Remedial Steps. Holistic, coordinated effort at all gov levels is required, NGT. Staff Reporter, New Delhi. The National Green Tribunal, NGT, has constituted an 8-member national task force to combat air pollution and monitor remedial steps to improve air quality. A bench headed by NGT Chairperson Justice Adarsh Kumar Goyal observed that a holistic and coordinated effort at all levels in the government was required. Accountability in terms of adverse entries in the annual confidential reports and recovery of compensation for non-compliance were imperative for fixing accountability, the bench said. This requires authorities at higher levels to function as trustees for discharge of constitutional and statutory obligation to the citizens. There is no other magic wand to protect people against acknowledged sorry state of affairs. India has the world's highest death rate from chronic respiratory diseases, the tribunal said. The NTF will comprise senior officials from the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change, Ministries of Housing and Urban Affairs, Petroleum, Transport, Power, Agriculture, Health and the Central Pollution Control Board. Monitoring process. The NTF may also monitor enforcement of laid down air quality standards beyond non-attainment cities in other identified air polluted areas where air quality is poor and above. The chief secretaries of all states and union territories may continue to monitor progress in execution of action plans at the state level with the assistance of monitoring cells in their offices and the Air Quality Monitoring Committee, the bench said. Bombay HC to Govt. Replied to plea to allow Jain community to collect food from temples. State trusts directed to find solution. Special Correspondent Mumbai. The Bombay High Court on Thursday asked the Maharashtra government to reply to a petition seeking permission for the Jain community to take away parcels of boiled food from their temples during the Ayambil fast. A division bench of Justices S.C. Gupta and Abhay Ahuja was hearing a petition filed by 2 Jain trusts, the Shri Trustee Atma Kamal Labdhi Sureshwarji Jain Gyan Mandir Trust, and the Sheikh Motish Religious and Charitable Trust. They were seeking permission to take away pious boiled cooked food from the premises of the religious trust for 9 days starting April 19. The plea urged the court to allow 48 other trusts to open Jain temples with standard operating procedures, SOPs, under the Break the Chain drive on April 13. The advocate, appearing for the trusts, told the court that restaurants were allowed takeaways, but religious trusts were not. Additional government pleader Jyoti Chavan opposed the plea and said home delivery through online orders was allowed, but no one was allowed to go personally. Devotees cannot come. The idea behind the SOP is to avoid congregations, the court said. The matter has been posted to be heard on Friday. Thank you. Editorial 1. Probing the sleuth's CBI probe into ISRO spy case masterminds is a much-needed step forward. The Supreme Court's order tasking the CBI to look into the Justice D.K. Jain Committee report on the action to be taken against those who implicated space scientist Nambi Narayanan in the ISRO espionage case of 1994 is a logical and much-needed step forward in ensuring accountability for the suspected frame-up. Representing a dark, but brief, chapter in the annals of police investigation in the country, the case was based on unfounded suspicion sparked by the arrest of 2 Maldivian women and the claims they made in their statements to the police. The Kerala police arrested Mr. Narayanan based on suspicion that he was among those sharing official secrets relating to space technology and missions to foreign agents. After the investigation was transferred to the CBI in a matter of weeks, the Central Probe Agency recommended that the case be closed, highlighting grave lapses in the probe and the complete lack of evidence. When the Supreme Court awarded a compensation of 50 rupees lakh to the scientist in 2018, taking into account the damage to his honor and dignity following the arrest on grave charges and the interrogation that followed, it was widely expected that police officers who framed him ought to be proceeded against too. The court formed a committee headed by Justice Jain, a retired apex court judge, for the purpose. The panel's report was submitted recently, and the center supported the demand for follow-up action. Significantly, the court has mandated that the report's contents be kept confidential while being forwarded to the CBI for a decision on how to proceed further. The element of secrecy may seem odd, but avoiding any contestation on its findings, which are to be treated as the outcome of a preliminary inquiry, will indeed be helpful in the agency proceeding on merits. When it awarded compensation, the court was quite convinced that the initial probe was malicious. The criminal law was set in motion without any basis. It was initiated, on some kind of fancy or notion, it had observed. It is rare in India that those falsely implicated or maliciously arrested on grave charges get justice. The police are given to using questionable methods, and treat the gravity of the charge as something that necessitates stronger and more persuasive means of investigation. That Mr. Narayanan has succeeded in the battle for restoring his honor is a matter of relief. But it should be noted that the Kerala government has been resisting calls for disciplinary action against the erring police officers. It opposed the CBI's closure report and tried to revive the investigation by its own police, but thankfully, the effort was shot down by the Supreme Court. It would be in the fitness of things if there is no further impediment to the CBI in proceeding with its investigation against the officers concerned, and that the process of restorative justice leads to its logical conclusion. Loser streak cricket's fight against the scourge of gambling and match fixing is far from over. Sport rests on 2 pivots. The first is the athlete's desire to win by putting in the greatest endeavor. The second attribute is the fans' belief that what unfolds on the turf is based on sincere effort. Sport is real, and its immediacy also invests it with long-lasting meaning. It is this enduring template that gets torn asunder when cricketers throw matches or athletes consume anabolic steroids and break records. Corruption that taints performance is a poisoned dagger which cleaves sport's throbbing heart, and the latest scandal involving Heath Streak is a crushing blow to cricket. The former Zimbabwe captain admitted to sharing information with bookies while he was the coach of various teams ranging from Zimbabwe to Kolkata Knight Riders, and has also accepted bitcoins for favors rendered. This breach of trust occurred largely from 2016 to 2018, and on Wednesday, the International Cricket Council (ICC) banned Streak for 8 years. It was a fall from grace for one of Zimbabwe's greatest players. Streak was a crafty fast bowler and a useful batsman, as evident in his combined international tally of 455 wickets and 4,933 runs during a 12-year career that finished in 2005. Disbelief was the first emotion when match fixing reared its head in 2000. It was a conflagration that hurt many high-profile cricketers, including the late Hansi Cronje, Mohammad Azharuddin and Salim Malik. The allegations may have failed to gain legal sanctity in long-drawn cases, but the whispers remained. The sordid saga had another installment when spot fixing hurt the 2013 Indian Premier League, forcing a cleansing of the Board of Control for Cricket in India, BCCI. The same despondency was invoked after the ICC mentioned Streak's transgressions, even if the caveat was that his actions had no bearing on the results of the games in which he was involved as a coach. Streak may not have fixed a contest, but in sharing contacts of players with bookies, he was paving the way for a probable underwhelming show. Bookies lure with requests for seemingly innocuous information before they spread the net wide. It may be recalled that in the 1990s, Shane Warne and Mark Wout confessed to sharing pitch and weather information with a bookmaker. Streak's misdemeanor is also a step back for Zimbabwean cricket, which is returning from a long-drawn administrative crisis that forced the early retirement of the Flow brothers.
Thank you very
Grant
much
and
for
Andy,
watching this
and
video.
the exile of
Kindly
Henry no
like,
longer.
share and press
Streak's
subscribe
dalliance with
button.
greed shows
Hit
that
the bell
ICC's
icon to
fight
get notification
against the
of
scourge
new
gambling
videos.
and match
Thank
fixing
you.
is far from
Take
over.
care.
On the
Almighty
trail of
God
the
bless
second
you all.
wave's dynamics, India let its guard down too early, and policy hesitancy and fast-spreading virus